Oh, hi there. So, in our last meeting, Jack and I went over the initial character sketches for the robot and the monster. And we narrowed them down to two styles. Well, one style for the monster, one style for the robot. And what was funny was I wasn't real comfortable with my robot drawings, and Jack wasn't really comfortable with his monster drawings. But we picked one of my robots and one of his monsters. So now what we're going to do is flesh those guys out just a little bit more. So that's our homework assignment. Our homework assignment is to take the body styles that we have, that we selected for each of those characters, and we're going to start putting color to them and maybe posing the characters in different drawings and stuff. One of the other really cool things that happened during our last meeting was we got to talking about the end of the story, and the path of the story started becoming a lot clearer, and we have a working end. I'm not going to say that it's completely done, but it's pretty cool. We have something to work with. So going back to our homework assignments, number one, we need to flesh out the two characters. And number two, we talked about the parents. We're not going to be able to see the monster's parents at all. And the robot's parents, we're not really going to be able to see them. We're going to see their pants or their shoes or whatever. So if you remember back in the day when we had Tom and Jerry, we never really saw the humans. And it was because it was the animals' world. It was Tom and Jerry's world that we lived in. So the people in the cartoons weren't really necessary. They were necessary, but they weren't a main part of the story. So we're going to follow that approach for now. So we're gonna play around with how to deal with the parents, and then we're also going to start brainstorming on what the other kids are going to look like, because the robot and the monster do exist in this school. And then if you watch the video, our last meeting, you'll see that kids become a really important part of the story, both to trigger the escalation of the story and then as part of the resolution of the story. So that's enough babble from me. Let's go to the Cintiq. So here we have an inked version of the robot. I wanted to show you guys something. Jack and I were talking about possibly using the robot's eyes to show emotions. And so I started playing with his eyes, and we go, bink, bink. A little cheesy, I know. But whatever. Moving on. Here we go. So I want to show you guys a couple techniques that you can use when you're dealing with color treatment with your characters. And so the first thing I'm going to do is click this little icon down here at the bottom. It creates a new layer, and I like to label things. So I'm going to label this color, and actually I'm going to end up having a bunch of different layers, but let's see. So first thing I'm going to do is select all of the areas that I think might be the same color. So I'm going to come over here and grab the magic wand tool. And I'm going to select this area, and I think I'm going to hit shift. And I think I want this area and possibly this area to be the same color. I'm thinking a dark gray color. As a matter of fact, I'm going to select the tips of his arms, right? So I have some shortcuts set up in Photoshop. Maybe we'll do a tutorial on setting up different actions in Photoshop, and even having some Wacom shortcuts. But let's see. I have where I have this shortcut that does expand and fill. So basically, this command and this action is going to take my selections, expand the selection by just a couple pixels. Reason I do that is because I want, if we zoom in here, my touch strips are acting crazy. Thank you, welcome. All right, here we go. I'm going to zoom in here. And you see how kind of the selection is kind of grabbing all of the stroke there. I want to expand my selection so it goes under that line, under that brush stroke, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, let's say, this gray here. Click OK. So now I'm going to go into my my shortcuts, and I'm going to select expand and fill. So if you look again, it's actually expanded the selection. It's filled with the foreground color, and then it's deselected. So now if we look, all of those selections there are filled with the same color. So then next what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to end up labeling these layers all the different sections, but for now it's fine. I'll for the sake of brevity, I'm going to just go ahead and just kind of label them. But I don't really want to bore you guys with that mess. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the actual plates of the robot. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go onto my ink layer. I'm going to select these parts that I forgot I wanted to fill with black. And then I'm going to go again and do my shortcut for expand and fill. Oops. It might help if I have the right color selected. So we're going to fill that with black, is expand and fill. Okay, there you go. So let's see. Let us go back to this layer here. I'm going to say color main robot. Or how about we label it right and say main robot color, right? So what I'm going to do is again grab the magic wand, select, I'm going to hit shift and select all of the areas that I think are going to be roughly the same color. And then I'm going to pick a color. Imagine that. I'm thinking, I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking a sort of a light, really, really super light blue. Like a blue-gray kind of color. But I'll show you in a little bit why it doesn't even really matter, because we're gonna make a whole bunch of different color treatments. So again, not rotate, but expand and fill. Oh, that's not nearly as pretty as I thought, but again, doesn't even matter right now. Let's see, let's do the antenna. The antenna should be some sort of a light gray, maybe even coming down in here. I'm going to click OK. Create new layer. Antenna color, and then I'm going to grab my magic wand. I'm going to select all the parts of the antenna. And just for kicks, I'm going to go ahead and grab his arms sections here too, just because I think those might be the same color. Again, we can customize that a little more, but we're just trying to get the main colors of the robot. And I'm thinking, did I already? Yeah, I already got those. So I'm going to go ahead and do a shortcut, expand and fill. And so you can see that all those are colored. And I'm thinking that little dome there, that dome might be a rubber color. So I might go back down to here. What if we named that rubber color? And then I'm going to reselect that area there and magic wand, select the dome, get my shortcuts, expand and fill. Now this little pocket here, I'm going to do that separately. And I'm going to say front pocket color. And then I'm going to select, for now, what I'm going to do is select that same really light blue, but I'm going to tone it down just a hair, just so we get the separation between the two, right? So then I'm going to make the selection. I'm going to hit Shift. I'm going to select all of those parts because they're going to be the same color. I'm going to go to my shortcuts. And again, I'm probably going to be doing a tutorial on setting up shortcuts and actions and stuff, so you guys can see how I do some of my things. And you know what? This color here and this color here, just for kicks, again, for the sake of trying to get through this and not making it be a a 3-hour video. So now you see that the shaded, it's a little bit darker than this front piece here. And now the eyes, I think maybe the eyes and these rivets going down his face could very easily be the same color. So I'm going to create a new layer, and then I'm going to label it eyes / rivets color. And then, see this, I'm thinking, let's go loosey-goosey on this. I don't even, maybe a shade of blue, but it has to be somewhat gray, right? And then I'm going to, again, here, let's go here, and we can do magic wand, and I'm going to select, Shift, select all the way around his face, or all the way around his eyes. And let's select all of the rivets. And then the shortcut for expand and fill. Ta-da! So now we have a neat little colored robot, right? And the reason I'm not really getting into painting and being way too creative with this is because we're just trying to figure out a color scheme for this guy. But I mean, if we wanted to, we can completely go in here and create a new layer as to not ruin what's happening here, right? And then I could grab a brush, and let's say we grab, I don't know, any old kind of brush, do like that, and then just start layering in some highlights and stuff. But again, that's not really what we're trying to do right now. Actually, that'd probably be better like that. And then you can see how you can add some dimension to it, but that's not what we're here for. Right now, we're just investigating color treatments, right? So now we have this little cute little blue robot thing. Now what I could do is I'm going to select the ink, which is the very top color, and you can see how funny it gets. But anyway, let's go ahead and click the link or the ink. I'm going to shift click all the way down to grab all of those colors. I'm going to pull them down to this bottom folder icon, right? And then I'm going to obviously let go. So now it's grouped into this folder. And I'm going to say, I'm going to name it Robot 1. Now, this is where it gets pretty neat. All these, the dark rubber colors. What I'm going to do is select that layer, and then I'm going to come down to this effects button. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to do a color overlay. Now, it kind of disappeared because it's funny that the color here in this square is basically the same color as the background. The reason I do a gray background is because you want a neutral color. If you're trying to do colors on a white background, you might not get the best tonality. Whereas if you do on a gray or something that's not quite as stark as white or not quite as dark as black, it's an eye thing. Your eye works better if you don't have the highlights of the white or the deepness of a black. So anyway, moving on, let's see. I'm going to take that color, and it's funny that, here we go. And you see how all of those colors are starting to change? Now you're starting to see the meaning to my madness. So I'm going to click OK and click OK again. So now, actually, what I'll do is I'll leave that for later. So now we have the rubber color set. I'm going to click on the main robot color, and I'm going to do the same thing. Effects, color overlay, and I keep forgetting that I should have probably done all that earlier. Oh well, here, we're going to grab this light blue again. Ooh, that's actually, I like that a lot better. Awesome! Click OK. I'm going to continue to do the same thing. Actually, if you wanted to be completely lazy, you could right click and do copy layer style. Go to your next layer, right click, paste layer style. Now it's going to keep all of the same settings, so all the same colors and stuff. But that's fine. We're going to go in and mess around with those anyway. Paste layer style, and the last one would be the eyes. So let's paste layer style. Okay, so now that that's set, let's double click on this part that says color overlay. That was really easy to say. And then click on that little swatch there, and then we're going to play around with that. That looks pretty good. Click OK, and that was the eyes and the rivets. So now let's take a look at the, but actually let's open that back up. Let's take a look at the front pocket color. Double click on overlay, click the little swatch. Let's go a little deeper blue. You could even come over here. You see how I have the little crosshairs? I could select that color, the main color. I can select any color I want, but I'm going to select that main color because I'm feeding off of that tone. And then I'm just going to come a little darker so you can get that separation that we were talking about earlier. I'm going to click OK. Click OK again. And what's next? Antenna. Perfect. We can select that swatch. The antenna was kind of there. I think we had a little bit more yellow, so let's do that too. Maybe not quite so yellow. There we go. That looks pretty good to me. All right, and we got the main robot color, right? You guys tell me, because I forgot. Yeah, we did. Right? Yeah, we did. I remember I really liked it. So there's that. We got the first robot done. Now what's cool is we can grab this folder, drag him over here, and we're going to have to, if I hit this icon here, this crop icon, or you can hit C too. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to resize the stage because we're going to have a nice big lineup. So we can do like that, hit enter or double click. Now my background, I should have done this. My background, I want it to be, oops, if I click on that square, I can then select this background color. Click OK. And now I can go to Edit, Fill, Foreground Color, click OK. I have to make sure that you're on the layer that you want to fill with the right color, because there's a lot of times that I forget. And this layer 1 here, I just want to show you guys, that was my sketch, my original sketch. And what I did is I had the sketch on one layer and then I inked it on a different layer. And now I can take this and either hide it by clicking that eyeball, or I could just drag it behind this background layer. Might as well name that too. Background. Color. Hit enter and we're set. Okay. And this ink copy, just to show you guys too, I don't want you guys to get confused. This ink copy, it's just I just basically took the original inked and I erased the eyes, and then I used my brush to make the closed eye looking thing. But that was just to show off a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and move that down to the bottom. And before I forget, File, Save. Remember to save your work. Save often. I've done that so many times where I just get into a groove and I forget to save. And about 2-3 hours worth of work is down the drain because something happened. Something triggered Photoshop to have a hiccup. And then all that work went away. It's heartbreaking. So yeah, save early, save often. It's kind of like voting in Chicago. Vote early, vote often. Anyway, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this robot. I'm going to make sure that here, I'm going to give you guys a tip. You can do this probably a few different ways, but if I click the robot folder, you see how all that content is in there, right? I can either grab this and drag it down to that new layer icon, and what it's going to do is make a whole new copy of the robot. But it's going to make a copy right on top of the original one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, again, make sure that the arrows, what do they call it? The pointer icon is clicked. And that way it'll help you move things around. So what I'm going to do is I want to constrain it to the latitude or the X position or whatever you want to call it, horizontal. There you go. Maybe one day I'll learn how to speak English. So I'm going to hit Shift, and what that's going to do is keep it here on the same horizontal line instead of, I can move up and down, and it's not going to move up and down. So now I'm going to do that. So that's one way. What I did is I grabbed this robot one folder and I dragged it, made a new copy and dragged it over. Now another shortcut is if you make sure that arrow tool is selected, make sure that you have this folder selected here, right? And I'm going to hit Alt and I'm going to drag, and it's going to make a copy. And then I'm going to hit Shift. Once I start dragging, I'm going to hit Shift, and you'll see that it sticks there. Okay, so now we have 3 copies of this guy. And again, I am going to be a little bit anal and hit Robot 2, and then I'm going to label this one Robot 3 and hit Enter. So now I can go into Robot 2, and let's see, rubber colors, color overlay. Actually, before we do the rubber, let's do the main color. Main color. It's in here somewhere. Antenna color, main robot color. Right there. I was clicking on it already. So instead of that blue, let's just drag this around and we can investigate. We could totally have a pink robot. You know, why don't we design a pink robot? But it can't be. It's got to be a cute pink. Okay, yeah. Boom, pink. Hit OK. So now, hit OK there. I'm going to go to the rubber colors. This one, anytime you have pink, you have to have real cute. There we go. Nice white color. Everything is, we could even go in there and like draw flowers and stuff. Completely sexist, sorry. Okay, I'm going to click on there, and then now we have to get it into the front pocket. Click on the square, hit that guy. Grab a nice darker color to create that separation. Click OK. Okay, I think you get the gist of this. I'm going to go ahead and do a speed video now, so you're not completely bored. So I'll see you in a little bit. So that's it for me. I went ahead and colored up some of the monsters too. I figured I was in there. It'd be fun to see what I have and compare it to what Jack has. I'll go ahead and take all of this stuff and post it to the website so you can take a look. And that's it. Until we see you next time, Jack will be with me. So we'll be able to compare notes and go on and further explore this cool little project that we have going on. Take care. See you next time.